Super Mario Odyssey is one of the, if not the greatest video games of all time. I just absolutely adore this game, and I'm definitely not alone on this. It's the reason that it's the fourth best-selling Switch game with 17.41 million units sold, tied with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's also why the speedrun community is enormous, and there are countless categories to hold the world record for, and why new techniques and strats are continuously being discovered. It's also why the once thought to be impossible sub-hour time was finally achieved, and that time is still going down. It's why gods at the game are beating it blindfolded and using their hands and feet simultaneously. From the 52 unique captures to the 82 soundtracks you can collect, to the 55 outfits, to Mario's diverse moveset, to the 888 power moons scattered throughout the 17 kingdoms, Mario Odyssey is a blast all throughout. Speaking of the 880 power moons, there is one in particular that, in my opinion, and I believe in Nintendo's, is the game's true final power moon, though it can be collected before the end. This moon is in the Darkside kingdom, and is regarded as one of the hardest moons in the game. Now, if you do not have Odyssey or care for spoilers, I recommend you click away right now. However, if you do have Odyssey and wish to continue on with the video, I recommend that you have Darkside already beaten and have gotten the moon found within that kingdom. Unlike the other kingdoms in Super Mario Odyssey, Darkside is home to only one power moon, but the peculiarities don't end there. For to be able to access Darkside, you must have collected at least 500 power moons. It is also the last kingdom in the game, and you can tell that you're in for a ride the second the Odyssey lands, because you see various people and races that you have met along your journey, and they're all cheering you on or warning you that you have never faced a challenge like this before, yet still encouraging you. You then capture a frog, a callback to the first capture of the game. Hopping with the frog will lead you to a warp pipe, and once you go through it, the final challenge of Super Mario Odyssey has truly begun. You are first met with a boss fight where you have to stack Goombas and jump up onto a hat. Sorry, I couldn't find the name, you should be seeing it on screen. Then you must jump from pillar to pillar over lava and certain death. You then swing from pole to pole, jump from metal platform to metal platform before capturing a lava bubble. While in the form of a lava bubble, you jump through a series of lava pits before shooting out of a cannon which leads you to capturing an up route. From here, Mario must ascend the next area, which is filled with freezing water and deadly fuzzies. If you manage to survive all of this, you will be greeted with Yoshi and have to dodge even more fuzzies. Then you must take a flower path towards the next challenge, and along the way you can meet the Sphinx once again and answer his final riddle. All the previous times that you have met the Sphinx has been leading up to this moment. In the previous kingdoms, every time that he would ask you a series of riddles, the last one, whatever your answer would be, when you finally got it right, he would tell you that you got lucky or you guessed. But it's not the case in the Darkside. For in the Darkside, the Sphinx's final question is, what final words am I saving for you? The answer choices being, you got lucky, which he had always said in the previous kingdoms when you answered correctly, you faked it, another common response of his, you cheated, something else he had previously said to you, and thank you. Somehow, because it was the last question, I knew the answer would be thank you. Nintendo always gives you a thank you when you complete something, and I figured it would be the same way here. He then thanks you for the wonderful time. He tells you that his plan was to ask questions to try to make friends, but he's grateful that he got to meet the two of you, being Mario and Cappy. He then says a final thank you, and a mound of coins appears next to him. But that's not the real reward. The real reward is finally finding out the Sphinx's motivation, and it adds a whole new level of depth to him. Next comes a timer challenge where boxes jut out of the wall to either aid Mario in getting to the top or push him into the fiery pit below. Mario then becomes Glydon and navigates the skies while dodging flies. I don't really know their name. They're these bug-like creatures that kind of dive in and charge at you, but again, I don't know their official name. But hey, it's not over yet. You then have to fling yourself from fork to fork, which will take you to another warp pipe. And within that warp pipe, Mario will find himself on a moving platform with spinies attacking him from all directions, and lava circles having to be dodged. You then must have perfect timing for the next area. You are a Pokio and must grab onto a series of swinging platforms to make it to the top. Next up is a 2D section where Mario must face off with Donkey Kong once again. After all of this, you become Bowser and break your way to the end, with a thank you from Nintendo and a warp pipe allowing you to leave. After exiting the warp pipe, you once again come face to face with a frog, which you will use to scale the tower. A tower that is parallel to the one found in New Donk City. At the foot of the tower, Cappy remarks that the two of you, himself and Mario, have come a long way. He continues on talking about all the different kingdoms you adventured through and all the times you guys got shot down, and ends with a thank you. Thanking you for the journey, for he couldn't have done it without you, and similarly, you couldn't have done it without him. And as you reach the spire at the top, you realize that it's longer than the one found in New Dog City. And this gives Cappy more time to talk. It's a bittersweet moment, for the memories are fond, but the thought of them coming to an end are quite the opposite. Before reaching the top and getting the moon entitled Long Journey's End, I came to a realization of sorts. While Cappy was talking about his and Mario's adventures, I could recall all of what Cappy was saying as if he were saying it to me, and I automatically replied to him in my head when I felt like Mario should have. When Cappy would remind me of all the good times we had together, I would recall those good times in my head and chuckle or tear up. When Cappy said we came a long way, I said we did, about 100 hours long. And when he reminded me of all the various kingdoms we've been to, I remembered each one of them and what we did there. When he said that, sure, we got shot down and stuff along the way, I chuckled, remembering all the times I had died to get here. Then he goes on to say, but think of all the hats. And I remembered where I met Cappy and the very first kingdom we traversed together. And when I climbed up the spire, Cappy said that the trip really was amazing. And thinking back to it, it was. Every single moment of it was. That's when I realized that the spire is slightly longer than the one in New Dog City, which again gave Cappy the opportunity to thank me and tell me that it's been an honor walking a mile on my head. Oh, he says all this to Mario, of course, but I couldn't help but feel as if he were talking to me. I was there after all, and I could relate to everything he was saying, and that's when it hit me. The player is Mario. I was Mario. A common complaint about Mario and why people don't think his movie is going to be a good idea is that he doesn't have an actual character or personality. This is due in large part to lack of cutscenes and dialogue, but I feel as if it's deliberate on Nintendo's part. While I used to think that Nintendo did this because they wanted the focus to be on platforming and gameplay, I now see that the reason is completely different, or at least in Odyssey's case it is. Nintendo didn't assign a personality to Mario so that the player can be Mario. So that the player isn't being told how to feel, but so that they can just feel how they want to. And know that Mario feels the exact same way. In other video games, the characters have personalities, which is good in its own right, but then you're being told how to feel. Suppose someone close to the main character of the video game dies. In a cutscene, the character will feel sad, and by extension, you will feel bad for the character. But you yourself won't actually feel that sad because you don't have a personal connection to whoever has died or to the video game character itself. And that's it. That's the genius behind Mario not talking. Again, while climbing up the tower and Cappy was talking to me, I was thinking back as if I was Mario, because I am Mario, because the player is Mario. I also feel as if this is why people love Mario, because they can connect with him on a personal level that they really can't with any other video game character. Just recently, IGN had a power ranking of the best video game character, and Mario won, with Link being the runner-up. And I'm not saying that this represents what everyone thinks, but IGN, with having about 14 million subscribers, it definitely represents a big portion. And Link in Breath of the Wild doesn't talk either, and we don't know much about his personality, which is why I feel that people like him in the same way that they like Mario. At first, I was mad that Mario won because I thought people just voted for Mario because his game is fun, not really because of the character itself. But now I see that it's because the players truly feel like Mario in a way that they will never feel with any other video game characters. Ironically, he won because of his lack of depth and personality. I also believe that this is why, for the most part, none of Nintendo's characters talk. Just to bring up one example, again, take the award-winning Breath of the Wild. In the game, you play as Link, and you can uncover various memories of Link and Zelda spending time together. And in not one of these memories does Link talk. Not even in the final cutscene. Not a single line of dialogue. Very similar to Mario's case, I might add. Take Spider-Man PS4, for example. People are always saying that it makes you feel like Spider-Man. And that's the thing. There's a set standard for how to feel like Spider-Man. I'm not saying that's bad, and yeah, it's cool that you can feel like Spider-Man, but it's not like that with Mario. There's no way to feel like Mario, because that hasn't been established. Nintendo isn't telling you how to feel. Nintendo is letting you feel how you want to feel, and to an extent, how Mario feels. So, do I really think that this is why Nintendo made Mario not talk? I'm not sure, and I don't really care, because I'm satisfied with the conclusion that I came to. And I like to think that Nintendo at least thought about it a little bit. And yeah, that's it. That's why I and many others believe Mario to be the greatest video game character ever created.
Hmm? Oh! Yeah!